It's Sunday night. You know what time that is. That means me and Tommy Weber are hanging out. What's going on, Tommy?
How are you, man? All good, all good.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Let me just check our feed here and see if we're coming through. Oh, there we go. We're on YouTube. And let me check our Facebook page here. Check the videos. And boom, there we are. All right. Yep. All right, we are good to go, man. So, how you doing? What's been going on?
I'm doing good.
You doing
I'm doing good? Good week, you know. It was spring break at St. John's, so I got a chance to prepare for some of my lessons upcoming, and you know, all good. Playing a little piano, and had a wedding last night. My niece got married, and it's nice to be a part of that. So.
Very cool.
And also, it looks like the weather may actually change this week, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, right?
Warmer weather.
Get a little warmer so we can get outside.
You know what I want to do?
Things.
All I want to do? I just
that?
want to have a catch. That's all.
Yeah.
Just a catch. Just want to throw to somebody who can catch the ball, and I can throw it back to me, throw it back to me, throw it back a few times.
Wouldn't that be fantastic? Under the sun, too, not in a facility.
I don't want to be doing it indoors. Thank you.
So
all good.
We had our first official practice yesterday.
I saw
indoors. So
I saw that on social media.
It
was that one kid swinging the bat. That kid looked pretty good.
Oh, he's a beast. He's 12 years old still, and he is
really. He looked big.
Yes, he's as tall as I am, and he hits missiles. That kid.
See that? I don't need the analytics. I got one still photo. I pick out the good kid.
Oh my gosh.
Good eye.
Yep. His name is Christian Boyd, and that kid can play. You know, it was a good practice yesterday, and I don't want to make this sound, you know, bad, but the good thing about it is that the practice was much more efficient. It was good. Now that I got the guys on the team that are at the level they should be at to be on the team, the practice was more efficient. We got a lot more done. You know, we were able to move forward more quickly because the guys were they were a little more of a higher talent level, which was
right. You have more guys who are close together in ability. Yes, makes it much easier.
So we were able to get a lot more done. The practice went a lot more smoothly, and it was nice. And the parents who were there were like, "Wow, you know that was a really tight, good practice. A lot got done."
Good.
I was like, "Yep, well, that's how it goes." So
that's right.
We didn't get outside today. We got rained out this morning. We had early practice, but it was still raining down here in Maryland, so we couldn't get out. But I did have some kids over to my house, and we hit in the basement. I set up a little station, and we did the little balls, the golf balls, but I have the foam ones. And we just
short flight balls.
Yeah, we just hit for an hour. You know, one hand drills, and then you know, and they got almost each kid got 200 swings in. And it was great. So
that's the key, craft.
You know, good swings too. And I bought one of those. You ready, Webbs? You're probably gonna laugh at me, but I bought a swing rail. I bought a swing rail. You know what a swing rail is? It's that little thing you put on your arm that if you cast the bat out like this, it'll pop the Velcro and come out. But if you bring your hands down and towards the ball, your first move is that, right? Then it just slides right off, and then you just hook it back on, do it again. I have a couple kids on my team that still their concept is not sinking in, and they want to cast their bat out. Now they make good contact, but they're coming around the ball and they're slow, you know. So as they get bigger, and if they still have a swing like that, they won't be able to catch up. And then
if it works for them, I'm all for it.
Well, when somebody throws harder, it doesn't work for them. That's the issue.
Then you got to catch up. Then you got to scramble. So.
Yeah. So,
but I'm not going to listen. We all have had our own gadgets throughout our lives, playing and coaching, and you know,
I just want to see if it works. I just want to see if it
if it works for a player, then that's what matters.
Yeah. And you know,
or if he thinks it works for him,
exactly.
See, that's the key.
That is the key.
If he thinks it works, then it works.
Yep. And I just want to see for $30 if it helps one kid for $30. I can't. Yeah, you can't go wrong. So I'm gonna do it. I got the thing, and we'll see what happens. All right. Is anybody out in Facebook? land over there? Are we getting any comments? No, we're not getting any comments. Where's Renee Miranda tonight?
I have no
That's
idea.
what I want to know. So
If he's nothing, he's predictable. He's usually here.
He usually is. Him and Victor Coco. I do know this. Andy is probably glued to the TV because MLB Network is doing Mets 30 for 30. So they're at the Mets facility today, and they're talking about nothing but the Mets. So Andy's glued to the TV. He's not gonna look away. So we won't see Andy here today.
Oh God. I'll reserve comment. But I do think the Mets, they've sewn it all up. Once they sign Jessica Mendoza, I think that gets them over the top. So I'm sure the Met faithful are really happy about that sign. Oh. She's the difference. She's going to make the difference.
I think so. I think she is.
I heard the Yankees are making Lady Gaga their minor league field director.
Can't go wrong there because Bradley Cooper will show up at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think Beyonce is speaking to the Detroit Tigers right now about a position in player development. So it's all going to be great.
Did you hear the news? Did you hear the news, Webbs?
What news?
A-Rod and J-Lo are engaged.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
When I start being interested in things like that, please just don't ever speak to me again.
Oh my God!
Has she been married like 6 times?
I think so. At least.
Do you get a wedding? When you're married like 5 times, you get a wedding, and what do you get them? What gift do you buy them? Do you buy them a gift?
I don't know. They have everything. So what do you get at somebody who has everything? I don't know.
I would like for them to say, in lieu of gifts, to give to some kind of charity because we don't need any gifts, but. I'm not sure that's going to happen. They'll probably sell the photos of their wedding and all that other stuff. That's what all these celebrities do.
Yeah.
So.
I would make some macaroni art and give it to them so they can hang it on their wall.
I just can't think of anything. I can think of some. There are a few things I'm less interested in than their courtship and marriage. I'm sorry. I have other things that I find to be a higher priority than that.
And yet we're talking about it right now.
Right.
Oh, God.
And let's stop.
Yes.
Let's stop because I feel like I'm getting stupider the longer we talk.
All right. So let's just jump right into the topics we wanted to talk about this week. I know I sent you something last week. I sent you an article that showed that they're going to experiment with moving the mound back in the Atlantic League, which is a professional baseball league. I played in that league for 2 years. They're going to move the mound back. Now, they didn't give specifics how far. That was the question. Are they going to move it back
2 feet?
6 inches? 2 feet? Is that what it was going to be?
2 feet.
2 feet. Okay, 2 feet. Guys can't throw strikes at 60 feet 6 inches. Can they throw strikes 2 feet further back? I
would love to be in the meeting. Like, how does that get brought up? Like, hey, do they just start like spitballing and saying stuff and after a while, guys just start to think of the most ridiculous things that they could think of. I really nobody can rationalize ridiculous stuff better than Major League Baseball because there's a lot of ridiculous stuff. Instant replay being one of them, but nobody can rationalize. Man, they somehow somebody would give you the most condescending reason why this is something you have to try.
Yeah.
With this. And I can't for the life, what the progress. What's the chronology of events in this meeting? Like, where does it start?
Yeah.
Like, what is the stupidest thing we could think of? Well, how about moving the mound back in the second half of an Atlantic League season? Or is the fact that you can implement something inspiring you to implement things that makes it's like we get together, we're the rules committee. Well, I guess we got to make another rule today, right?
Yeah.
Don't we have to make another rule? So if we get together to discuss changes we're going to implement and experiment in the Atlantic League, we have to come up with changes. So let's come up with moving the mound back. And how, what's the barometer for success that you're going to use at the Major League level? Like, why are you doing this? To do what exactly? Mm-hmm. To do what? I mean, what is the end game? Have they put it on a computer, and the computer says they'll get more runs, there'll be more action, there'll be fewer fewer strikeouts. I mean, what is that going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You know, they're going to have the analytics. They're going to take the data. They're going to take a look at it and figure out. You know, the main reason was they stated was because strikeouts are up across the professional leagues because guys are throwing so much harder or whatever. And you know what? I think
strikeouts aren't up.
Go ahead.
The strikeouts are up because guys are trying to swing as hard as they possibly can. A lot of hitting instruction throughout Major League Baseball. Throughout Major League Baseball is about trying to effort and swing as hard as you can. And I know very prominent players. You know, I remember Evan Longoria said, "An out's an out. What's the difference if I strike out or not?" Which is ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
But that's why strikeouts are up, because guys have no problem striking out. They don't value making contact because there are a lot of organizations, not the Red Sox, say, we don't care if you strike out.
Yep. So that's a shame that that's the case, because the strikeouts are up across the league because of the way people are teaching. And, you know, you take a look at how these guys teach hitting now, it's almost comical to a point when I watch these videos on YouTube about that swing and swinging that upward, you know, swing path, like the ball's coming down a mountainside instead of, you know, a slight upswing like a Charlie Lau used to teach, like Ted Williams did. And I think that's a good swing path to teach somebody, right? But for some reason,
you don't want to swing uphill.
Yeah, these guys are dropping their shoulder like boom and teaching kids to swing like up like this, like the ball's coming down a mountain. Right. And then I saw a former professional baseball player who made it to the big leagues, the #1 pick, standing on a box and throwing BP over the top of the L screen down towards the batter. From the top, over top of it.
I'm not surprised.
I'm like,
not surprised.
How
that's
is
what
that
that's what this stuff does. It spawns like goofiness, like how, you know, how creative can we get here to try? The bottom line is, if this stuff gave results in any shape, manner, or form that mattered, I'd be all that he is. You know, you get fewer 300 hitters. I don't see a lot of guys hitting 50 home runs and driving in 130 runs.
Mm-hmm.
What I do see is you trading RBIs for home runs. That I do see.
Yes, absolutely.
So many guys hit 25 and 30 homers and knock in 83 runs.
Compared to like Mike Schmidt or George Foster.
Oh, my God.
Or those guys, they'd hit 30, 40 home runs a year and drive in 120, 130 runs. Right? And isn't that where you want to be?
It is all about run production. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. I see the same stuff on YouTube and Twitter. You know, everybody trying to kill a guy on the Bosu ball, one leg on the Bosu ball, one leg on the ground, the pipe on his neck, electrodes. So it's goofiness. It doesn't have it's really scientific. They call it scientific, end up to any scientific grit.
All right, Weber, I want you to hang tight. I'm going to disconnect you and bring you back on. You're starting to break up a little bit. All right, so hold on 1 second. Yeah, you're getting a little bit off. So, dashboard. All right, now I'm going to bring you right back up. So hang tight, Webbs. And hang tight, guys. I'm bringing Tommy Weber back up. We're talking about moving the mound back. Actually started the conversation, but then we got into the reasoning why they want to move the mound back. And they want to move the mound back because they think the strikeouts, there's too many strikeouts now. But then we got into the conversation about, well, how they teach hitting. And they're teaching that upswing and just to hit it as hard as you can, pull everything, and try to hit a home run every time you step up to the plate. There is no contact anymore. There is no put the ball in play. There are no productive outs. Well, I wouldn't say there weren't any, but it's not a focus of what's going on. So... all right, seems like I lost Tommy for a second here. Let me see if I can't. He looks good as a question mark, though. Trying to bring him back up. Here we go. And there he is. All right, Webbs, you there? There you are. Ha ha! I got you back. All right, buddy, you're back up.
Okay.
All right, so
I just think not enough people. There's not enough. There aren't enough people around in these rooms, obviously, who have the intellectual integrity to question why they're doing this. Like, what is this mining expedition that it seems like those people that baseball are on? What are you looking to get, out of the mine? Are you mining for what is it? Because the reality is, all of the game's ills, supposed ills, all the things that drive down participation and that drive down viewership are vested in the fact that the game has to make tons of. So it becomes a boring game because you have to have a half hour between innings. If you didn't have the whatever it is, 10 minutes in between every inning, and the stoppages of play, you wouldn't have to fiddle around and try to jerry-rig. Just wouldn't. This is all the byproduct of needing to generate hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Your time is not your own.
Yeah. Yep. Victor Coco joined us finally. Victor, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Victor.
Yeah. So
if you notice, there's no movement of foot to try to speed up or tinker with the game on any level until you get to the major leagues.
Yeah.
Until you get to the major leagues.
And then they want to change
And
it.
why is that? Because on any other level, you're not looking to make money. You're just looking to play the game so people enjoy the game for what it is. But at the major league level, because you have all these things in play that conspire against enjoying the game, you've got to find ways to fix it.
All right. How are you looking on your end, Webbs?
Shitty.
Yeah. I'm catching. You're not breaking up too bad, but you're still breaking up. So,
should I move to a different point in my apartment?
I don't know. Maybe if you want to try it. So, see what happens. We're gonna get a tour of Tommy's apartment right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go. All right.
See if that works better.
No.
Are you closer to the Wi-Fi thingy? The Wi-Fi thingy? That's what I call it. The Wi-Fi thingy.
I think the Wi-Fi is right there, to my right.
Okay, so.
Oh, I am?
I don't know. You sound better.
Well, no, the Wi-Fi's in the bedroom.
Okay.
Ah, there you go. You sound better.
Yeah.
You want to readjust your framing there? See if you can not so much headroom. I mean, I realize you need a lot of headroom, Webbs, but there we go. Here we go. Bobby Con's in.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Bobby Con's in there. Bobby says more home runs equal more revenue. It's all about the dollar. Exactly. That's what we were saying.
I don't agree. I have to say this. I think that's a fallacy. I don't think people go to see home runs. I think people go to see action, and that's why fewer people are going to see the game. Yeah. I think Major League Baseball is engaged in something that they're making. Their argument falls flat on its face. I mean, the reason why we've never had more home runs and we've never had lower ratings. Well, so obviously something's wrong. I think action is what people will go to see. You're always going to have enough home runs, but I think you need more action. Mm-hmm. You need bigger ballparks, more things happening to catch people's eye. The home run is an action killer. It ends the action.
Yep. Yes, casual fan, Bobby Con, casual fans do like home runs, but is that what we're going to do? We're going to change the game for the casual fan, or are we going to keep
But you're not eradicating the home run, Ken.
Yeah.
You're not outlawing the home run.
No.
How many home runs do you think the casual fan needs to see? If he saw 15% less home runs or fewer home runs, he wouldn't even notice. He'd still get his home run fix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you'd have action and you'd bring more fans in.
I think that it's all about the highlights, and because you can't even get people into the seats now, especially unless you're a winning team. Unless you're one of the top two teams in the division, nobody's going to the ballpark to watch baseball. And all you need to do is go to Camden Yards to see that. It's like a ghost town now. So, And I don't disagree. The home run derby has become a big deal. I don't watch it. I haven't watched it in a long time. So
I think the home run derby is a great thing, but it's a spectacle. It's not a game.
yeah.
The game and the spectacles, you want to have a skills competition. Every sport does that. I get it for one night. Try to do that every day and see if you could make money. You can't. That's got to be a once in a season event. You're talking about playing 162 games over, 180 days. You've got to have something that's going to bring people to the games. And I'm just not sure that this notion that the home run is some kind of guaranteed to make money. I don't agree. I really don't.
Yeah.
You want to win? You want to make money? Have a winning team.
Well, all right. So you, me, and Bobby go to a game, right? And it's a pitcher's duel, and the score is 2-1, right? And nobody hit a home run,
Right.
and great defense was played, right? I'd rather see a game like that than see a game where guys went up and popped up 15 times and struck out 10, 12 times again, and a team struck out 10 or 12. I would rather see that. I would rather see a close pitcher's duel and a good 9-inning game that went fast, that moved at a 2.5-hour pace, and there were a couple big hits and great defense. I'd rather see that as a baseball fan, somebody who's played the game and somebody who really has enjoyed the game his entire life, right? And Bobby says the same.
I agree, but I know that I'm not the target fan.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because they're just and that's in any game. People who go just to watch the game are few and far between. You take a date, it's an event, you're taking a client. There's business people that take people to games. They're not looking for people that are aficionados of the sport. If they had to rely on those people, they wouldn't make any money. So I do think you have to appeal to the masses. I just don't believe, and the current climate of the game would support my theory. You're hitting more home runs and you're not drawing more people to the ballpark. So there's something wrong with the basis of that argument. I think it falls flat on its face. I think you got to increase action. And I do think, and I don't want to hear these purists, I don't care how the game is. The game's too long. Game's too long.
Yeah. I agree, Bobby.
We live in an age of a shortened attention span.
Yep. I agree, Bobby
Right?
Kahn. Casual fans are probably not on this webcast. Of course, the casual, it's the instant gratification that everybody's looking for now. And when you go to a game, you are at a game, nobody is watching the game. They're talking to somebody else. They're on their phones. They're taking a selfie. Nobody's paying attention to what goes on. I'm surprised more people don't get hit by line drives because they're not watching the game when they're even at the game. And then when you're watching it on TV, you're just flipping through. Boom, 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 boom. You don't sit and watch. So
one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen in any sport, and I watched him for 20 years, was Derek Jeter. And last week he came out and said, a lot of people are going to come to the game and not even know what the score was, but they're going to have a great experience. He said it. Like, winning isn't really that important. It's about the experience. This has now become a hospitality industry. They're not in the baseball business at all. They used to be only in the baseball business. Then they were in the baseball and entertainment business. Now they're in the entertainment business because if you're not all in the entertainment business, you can't possibly generate enough revenue to do any of the other things you want to do, like win.
yeah, and also Bobby makes a good point. Derek Jeter is an owner now. So he's got to think about that stuff.
Right.
He can't think about just the baseball side of it.
He's echoing the sentiments of ownership. We've got to make a lot of money. So whether or not we win, we got to make sure these people are really happy. So, we have to have a midget toss and light somebody on fire in the third inning and throw somebody off the building. Got to make money,
That's true. And between every inning, they have an event. The hot dogs running. Right. There's a race going on. Somebody's throwing something.
Major league level, it's an assault on your senses. Like, there is noise and music and video the entire game. Like, if you just, it's hard. I'll tell you this, it's hard to just focus on the game. It really is.
It is. It is. When you're at a game, it's hard to focus on the game. There is so much going on around you at all times. So to circle back around, we've gotten to this long conversation about the rules changes. Bobby Kahn, you didn't chime in on it. Should they move the pitcher's mound back to 2 feet?
No, 60.
I was like, wait a minute, 70 feet. No.
Why not 70?
Exactly.
You know why not 72?
Why not, right? Move it back to 70 feet, 6 inches.
If you're going to go big.
But 2 feet. They're going to move it back 2 feet. Is that going to help anybody? Is anybody going to be... And then some people were like, it's going to hurt the hitters even more because now the ball has more time to break. Or I'm just sitting there going,
I don't know about it. Are you telling me? I'll tell you what. So if I have my choice, I got to hit. The guy could throw from 60 feet or throw from 62 feet. What are you going to do? What are you going to pick?
62 feet.
Right, of course.
Yeah. 62 feet. Yeah, right. Everybody's a traditionalist here, Bobby, but they're saying because strikeouts are up, they want to see what happens. So the Atlantic League, which I happen to play in, is, I'm ashamed to say I played in that league because they're moving the mound back 2 feet. That's ridiculous.
Doesn't that change your view of the guy at first base as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Changes your view there.
Aren't all your angles now changed?
Now they're different because you're not exactly right in the middle between first and third base. You're 2 feet back.
The beauty of baseball is the geometry of the game has worked for 150 years.
Yeah.
From the time they played without gloves to the time when they played with a little glove and they left their gloves on the field, played with the big gloves, and now field dimensions. The game hasn't needed to change, and it doesn't need to change either. Now you're going to force this change that's going to sort of throwing the earth the baseball earth off its axis.
A little bit. Would it be easier to see someone? I mean, you would know, Bobby, because you
of course
stood on
you're
the pitcher's
further back.
mound. Yeah, you stood on the pitcher's mound.
Of course it is.
I guess. Yeah, I guess it's easier.
The further back you go, the less behind your back the runner is.
Yeah, he's right. He's at the front now. He's up here, off of the shoulder. He's not behind you. He's not directly behind you. Yeah. Well, I would like to go to one game and see what it's like, just to see how, in person, to see what happens. They're going to collect all the data and whatever, and they'll come back and say, well, this happened and this is better because of this. And they'll interpret the data any way they want, usually. Whoever's doing the study usually interprets it in their favor anyway. So
that's a great point. The bunt becomes more of a weapon. You're 2 feet further back.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. It becomes difficult. More now the pitcher has to travel further to go get it and make the throw. Absolutely. It takes more time. So yes, the bunt. So that now changes the game to what we were going to talk about, where speed and aggressive base running, they want to institute that more. Well, more teams are trying to do that anyway. But yeah, that would be a good point. Yeah, the bunt does become more of a weapon. So good point. Yeah. Which Tommy, bring that up. You sent me that message earlier today. The speed and aggressive base running. Do you think that more teams are going to?
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, silently, teams are deciding. You know what? Maybe we want to have more than one way to score runs. Mm-hmm. This whole hit it far and hit it high thing hasn't been working out for us. We might want to have a more varied attack. And, word out of spring training is that a number of Major League franchises are really focused on reinstituting the running game. That it's something that's been ignored over the last few years for the sake of hitting the ball far and long in the home run, and you become one-dimensional. You can't score if you don't hit any home runs. Even the Yankees, as good as they are, the Yankees are relatively one-dimensional, which is why they run into problems in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it seems like these teams are smartening up a little bit and finding a way to have a more varied attack, which I love to see.
I actually saw it in a spring training game today. It was a one-run game in the ninth inning. Guy got on by an error. Then the next guy got on bloop over the second baseman's head, right? Next guy up, boom, dropped down a bunt, moved them both over. Now, the next guy up hit a ground ball right back to the pitcher, and the guy on third base, I don't know why, was going on contact with the infield in. I'm like, okay, why is he even moving, right? And then he got he was out. So now they had 2 outs, and then the next guy came up and hit a routine ground ball. But it was kind of nice to see that in the 9th inning, and the guy coming up, who he was in the minor leagues, he was known as a power hitter. And he came up and he bunted. And, David Bell is managing that team now. If you remember David Bell when he played.
It's Buddy Bell's son.
Yep, Buddy Bell's son. I played with his brother, Mike Bell, in Texas. So David Bell, I think David Bell is more that kind of manager. He's a little bit of a throwback, a guy who will use speed, bunting, and things like that to win ball games. I think Cincinnati's one of those teams. So it was kind of nice to see.
You got.
Yeah, you got to use what you got. So I hope that more teams do put that into play. Whitey Herzog's Cardinals were amazing to watch back in the day. Tell me they weren't.
Oh, they were great.
They were fantastic. And who was their power hitter back then? Jack Clark, maybe? Was he
after they traded Hernandez, Clark was about it. But, that ballpark was so cavernous that you could not rely on the home run no matter who you had. You had to have speed and defense, and you had to put the ball in play because those big boys, Keith Hernandez, when you really think about it, he cost himself a surefire ticket to the Hall of Fame by playing in 2 huge ballparks, Shea Stadium and Busch Stadium, which were ballparks you were not going to hit, but you're going to hit a ton of doubles. You hit for a high average and drive in a lot of runs, which is what he did. So, yeah, those teams were exciting to watch because there was always something happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love to watch those guys. Ozzie Smith was on that team; he could steal bases. Right? You had Tommy Herr; he could steal some bases. He was not going to crush the ball, right, from second base.
McGee,
Willie
Vince
McGee,
Coleman,
Vince Coleman,
Pendleton.
Mm-hmm. All those guys, and they played fantastic defense. The left side of that infield was like a wall, right?
Yep.
Pendleton and Ozzie Smith. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I would like to see more of that aggressive base running and bunting into the game this season. We'll see. We'll see which teams do that, and we'll see if those teams are successful and see if that changes anything. One thing that I also saw today in spring training, I actually saw 2 more things, and we'll get to them. One thing was they put a shift on. Boston put a shift on against Tampa Bay, and the hitter came up, and what did he do? He hit a ground ball to shortstop because the shortstop was playing back and deep in the hole. And, they had a shift on, so the third baseman came over. Or was it the third? I think it was the third baseman who was playing short, and then the shortstop moved to the other side of the bag. So there was just one guy over there. The guy hit a routine ground ball to short and beat it out because the shortstop, the guy playing, just sat back and thought, yep, I got this. Boom, guy beat it out, right?
Yeah, most pitchers hate the shift.
Yeah, I thought if they were playing normal, or if that guy was playing up a little bit, which he should have been, he was playing on the grass. Why? What the hell are you playing on the grass for? Right? He's playing on the grass. If he was playing up, he comes in, he gets that ball, throws it to first base. The guy's out by 10 feet.
Right.
But he's standing back, and because the guy was a big guy, and he thought he wasn't fast. And guess what? You just, allowed a base hit. And then the next guy comes up and hits a bomb. Bam!
Yeah, the best defense to the shift is adaptability. If you can't adapt, then they're going to shift on you all day long, and that's their right to do so.
Yeah.
You should just, if you adapt and start hitting the ball and using the whole ballpark, which is what good hitters used to do.
Now they have to adjust. Powerless. Yeah. Now they have to adjust. The shift has to adjust back, which then opens up the game a little bit more for you as a hitter to do what you want. Yeah. So it makes sense sometimes. It doesn't make sense all the time with the shift, I don't think. And then what else did I see today, Weber, was terrible defense. I watched 2 games, and I didn't watch much, but I saw fly balls turned into doubles, routine fly balls, and I saw routine ground balls to short turned into base hits. I saw 2 that should have been definite outs, and then I saw a guy field a ground ball, come up and just chuck it, and I don't know where the hell he was throwing it. It was like Chuck Knobloch on his worst day. It went like whatever. But still, it just seems to me like defense is not. They don't even like. Is it? Does anybody care anymore?
It's less of a priority. I mean, you don't hear. When a guy like Jim Cott, who has 283 wins and 16 Gold Gloves, is not in the Hall of Fame, I mean, 16 Gold Gloves. He's got more Gold Gloves than anybody in the history of the game. How could he not be in the Hall of Fame? Because they don't value defense at all.
Yeah.
So you'll put a DH in who doesn't own a glove, but a guy who owns 16 Gold Gloves isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So you'll put in
that tells you everything you need to know.
You'll put in Edgar Martinez, who has 2,250 hits. That's it. That's all he had. Not even close to 3,000 hits. He's like 700 hits shy. You'll put Edgar Martinez in the Hall of Fame. And don't get me wrong, Edgar Martinez was a great right-handed hitter.
Great hitter.
In his time. Hitter. But 2,200 hits, you know, and he never played the field? Ooh, that one hurts. You know? That one hurts. So, but yeah, I just you know, just watching these guys play defense. And then did you see the video on Ron Washington?
I watch all the Washington videos.
Teaching the kids with the coming through everything. Yeah,
we've done that in the Cape for 3 years. I've done that protocol for 3 years. I don't think you should come through everything, but you do have to know how to get that last hop.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think you should come through the ball that bounces close to you. Like the short hop, the one that's boom, boom. I think you should come through that. But if it's a different type of ground ball, I think you get with it and get it into your throwing position a lot quicker. Boom. Because you don't want to be going away from you, because then you got to bring it back to throw it. But if it's going to short hop like that.
The ball in the middle of you, I believe you should funnel. I mean, I think that's a matter of choice. But the ball to either side, you know, you want to try to get the hop as early as possible. I try to teach players to think of it. The hop should feel like when you play ping pong, like that tick, tick, tick. That's the kind of feeling you want to have when you're making that play. You're making the backhand, forehand. That's what you want to do, because you don't want to. When you can, you don't want to retreat on the ball if you can help it.
Yeah.
There are some times you have to retreat on the ball. You don't have any choice. And the top priority is create for yourself by using your feet the best hop possible.
Yes. And
you field with your feet, not with your glove.
And that's the point that I wanted to make, is he's teaching those guys to go, and you watch him. I watched that video, and the kids who didn't get it, right, they were really pushing through the ball, like pushing hard, right?
Right. You got to stick it.
Yeah, and then the other guys that got it, it was just a subtle move, a subtle
Correct.
through it, a subtle, because they know that once they're back on their feet and they're actually in a game situation, where are you going as you field the ball anyway? Towards your target. You're fielding through the ball. Yeah, you're fielding through the ball. So you're going to be moving towards it anyway. Your hands are automatically, as you're out here, they're coming forward with you. So they're going to be coming towards it anyway.
I'm not sure it's on the video you saw, but even Washington even elaborates on the fact that we're isolating your hands here, and it looks like you're pushing the ball forward. What's really happening is if you now get on your feet, your legs and your hands will kind of move in unison towards the ball. It won't be so isolated. Yeah. But for the purpose of getting you used to what that feels like, you put a guy on his knees, and now he can't use his feet, and then you introduce the feet afterwards.
Yeah. I totally understand that. But I do believe that there are different balls that you can have softer hands.
No question.
Have that soft.
No question.
Bring it back.
No question.
And make it
Some
stick
balls you got to
same
fight.
way. Yeah.
Right. Some balls you have to fight. You know, tags you have to fight. You can't. You know, you can't be so soft with the tag. You got to really be firm with the tag, because if you go away from the bag, then you got to come back to get to tag the runner. But yes, I agree. Look, it's all ball dependent. It's context dependent. There's no one way, and you've just got to have an arsenal. You know, as an infielder, you've got to be like a hunter who has more than one arrow that he can use. You don't want, and he has a bow and arrow, and he has a knife, and he has a gun. You want to have as many, weapons in your arsenal as you could possibly have, so that whenever, depending upon where the ball's hit, when the ball's hit, where you are, sometimes you're late to the ball. Sets up a hop that you got to force yourself to play that you otherwise might not play. You don't want to be locked into one way there, because at that point you might boot the ball.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't disagree. I like Ron Washington. I think Ron Washington's fantastic.
These are all things. Listen, I'm glad we're doing this together, because we did this 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing's new. You and I did this. You got to field your feet, get your body in position. It makes sense. I mean, you don't feel the ball standing still. You know, you don't want to have to start throwing again.
Yeah,
And I believe.
Go ahead.
I believe. I don't teach you to field the ball. I'm teaching you to throw the ball.
Okay.
It's not about catching the ball. I want you to. Good defenders, good infielders are throwing the ball. They're not catching it. If you can't catch the ball, you should be playing tennis. Yeah. The catch is incidental. It's being able to throw the ball that's really important. So I want you more focused on how am I going to throw this ball to my target, not how am I going to catch the ball.
Yep. Get it, get rid of it,
right.
as quickly. My main focus with the guys, when I'm working with them is, look, your hands, again, incidental, right? To me, it's your footwork. Putting yourself in the right position to make the best possible play you can make and make a good throw. That's it. Fielding the ball should be, second nature. Boom. It should just be boom and the ball's gone. But you have to work on your footwork to get you in the right position to make a play.
If I had to evaluate a player and I could only have one thing that I could watch him do, it would be I'd like to have a catch with him and put him through some throwing tests. Nothing tells you more about a player than his throwing, his proficiency. When you see guys at very high levels, what really impresses you is the efficiency with which they throw the ball.
And the accuracy, too.
Right. Yep. Accurate, out of their hands, one step, boom, gone. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of strength, coordination, athleticism, and it tells you about a player's baseball DNA far more than any other skill, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I like when I'm playing catch with a guy, I like to see the arm angles too, that they how they can be accurate from different arm angles. Because as an infielder, you're never throwing in the same arm angle slot every single time.
Right.
Because you're moving too much for that.
Yep.
And too many guys.
And you don't want to throw from the same spot. You want to throw from wherever you field it. Get it, throw it. Get it, throw it. Across your body, underneath sometime. The further you go to your left, the more underneath you're going to have to be. You don't want to range. Think about it. You want to range way to your left and now have to come back up and throw the ball over the top. If the further left you're going, the more underneath that throw you're going to be.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's just logical. And conversely, the more to your right that you go,
the more
over the top you're going to be.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, man. I used
giving some good stuff today, right now. This is good stuff.
The older I got, Webbs, the more I would go towards my right, and I would catch it, and I would do that Robinson Cano underneath, boom, and just get it and get rid of it as quick as I could, and it would work, and I'd be like, all right, well, so that's because I couldn't get to the right as much. I think I lost him. I think I lost Weber. No, Webbs, no, come back. All right, hold on. I'm gonna disconnect you, and I'm gonna reconnect you. There you are. All right, I lost you for a second. Yeah, I lost you just for a second. So yeah, the older I got, the more I would do. I would come to that play on the right, actually moving away from first base, and I would get it and just boom, and just get rid of it as quick as I could.
Well, I like that idea. I think that's an important point. And the reason why you did that, the reason why you were able to do that is because you never stopped. So you can only make that throw if you continue in the opposite direction of where you're throwing it. Once you stop, it's a weird thing physically. Once you stop, you can't make that throw.
Yeah.
You've got to actually generate motion away from the target in order to make that Robinson Cano throw. But that's a very effective throw because it's out of your glove so fast. Even if you one bounce it, you got a good shot of getting a runner.
Yeah, and never did I like it was on a line and gunned over there. No, it had a boom, boom, but it got there before because I got rid of it so fast.
That's right.
So
that's right.
But yeah, I mean, yes, footwork, how people play catch, it all equates, and you know though when guys have soft hands, you see it. You know when they catch it and they just pop it right into their other hand. You know that they can handle a baseball. Getting to the ball, knowing the angles, knowing as soon as the ball is hit what angle to take is key. That first read that you see it off the bat and you're like, all right, now I got to take a step back. I got to drop back one to get to that ball, otherwise I have no chance. You know, that type of thing to me is key when I watch middle infielders. I like to see how they react to different balls, how it's hit, what, you know, angle they take, how they read the ball, how they come around the ball. All of that stuff is really
and that's one of the few things you could develop a feel for by just taking thousands of reps.
Yes.
If you see that ball enough, if you see those hops enough, let's face it, baseball's a finite game. The ball can only bounce a certain amount of ways to a shortstop. There aren't an infinite amount of balls, you know, that you have to field, right? I mean, the ball's either going to bounce twice, 3 times, 4. It's not going to bounce 58 times to you. You know what I mean? So you only have to know a finite amount of balls. And if you concentrate on those basic balls, a few steps to your left, a few steps to your right, and right at you, you're going to go into games really knowing just about every play you need to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, at least knowing the footwork, the positioning, how to position yourself, all of that. Yeah.
It'll be in you. Yeah, you'll own it.
Yeah, you won't even have to think about it. It just happens. Just bang.
Hopefully that's the goal, is that you don't have to think about it.
All right, so Dan Ford just jumped on. He's here a little late. He's admitting it. You know, he was watching something else. Thanks, Dan Ford. But anyway, he wants to know about
State at a night game.
He wants to know about the pitch clock. He wants to know. He thinks it's going to be he thinks it's going to be a disaster, is what he's saying.
Well, I'll answer that question with a question. What exactly are the umpires left to do? Okay, why can't the umpires legislate the pace of the game? Let's go. I said this before. It should be a 20-second clock, but it shouldn't be a clock out in center field. The umpire should have the clock. And here's the deal. I got you past 20 seconds. I give you a warning. I tell you, listen, make sure you go out and tell your pitcher, this 25-second stuff has to stop. The next time he does it, I'm calling a ball on him. You call one ball on a pitcher one time, that pitcher will never, ever take more than 20 seconds again. And it will not in any way impact his ability, his proficiency, his skill. If it does, then he doesn't belong in the major leagues.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is a big deal.
I actually played under a pitch clock.
I did it. We all did it.
Yeah, in the Northern League when this was 25 years ago.
Lots of leagues have had it.
Yeah, pitch clock. I'll tell you what.
At
the beginning of the season, they stuck to it, but as the season went on, they could care less, and then it just became nobody gave a crap, you know. So, yeah, I think it'll be a disaster too. So,
I think it's a disaster because you keep wanting to create more rules and create more. If you just played it by ear a little bit and let the umpires, you know, do what they're supposed to do, exercise some judgment, the game will be just fine.
Yep. So Joe Russo came on and said, robots, Tommy. Talk about the robots coming to independent baseball near you.
Joe. They're not robots. They're not robots. What the technology for automated assistance for the umpires is a bug in the umpire's ear and a beep when it's a strike. So, you know, the science is pretty good. I mean, they've got this. You can go. Bryant Gumbel did a show with Eric Burns a couple of years ago where he went to a independent league and dressed up as an umpire, and they did it. The science works. But I used to think you had to do this, that this had to happen because the umpires are that bad. And then I had a friend of mine. We were talking, you know, good baseball guy, and he said, "You know what I like? I like the fact that as a major league player, you kind of have to make adjustments to the strike zone. You know, it changes with each umpire. And that's something that I personally dislike. But in listening to him, I said, you know what? You're kind of right. Like it creates a charm in the game that if you try to sterilize the game anymore, it's going to get less and less enjoyable to watch. And I understand, even though the technology is great and the umpires are not very good, and I get back to this, and you know, I do have an axe to grind against umpires because they stink, and they should be better. And why they're not better, well, I know why they're not better. They have a union and they can't get fired, so guys can basically do whatever they want. They're not accountable. I would make the umpires more accountable. I think you can improve umpiring to a point where perhaps you don't need to introduce another piece of technology in a game whose beauty is in its lack of technology, the need for technology.
So I'm going to transition now into technology that we do have now, the instant replay, right? We can go and we can take a look at things, right? At the college level this past week, what did we see? We saw that hit by pitch rule, right? And the umpire had the opportunity to take a look at it on the back end. But what's the fault there? He's the umpire making the overall decision. So he's not going to go against his own decision, right? He's going to stick with what he said. And he totally screwed that one up. That was terrible. So for you folks,
it's like being on trial. It's like being on your trial, and your kids are in the jury box. You know, they're going to see it your way. It's the most absurd thing in the world. First of all, I said this on Twitter. Could you imagine what it was like in this meeting when these geniuses at the NCAA get together and discuss changing the hit by pitch rule? I mean, who needs that rule clarified? The ball hits the batter. If it's obvious that the batter tried to get hit by the ball, we all know what that is. That's a pretty obvious move. Anything other than that, the runner takes first base.
Yeah, and if the home plate umpire can't tell, then it should be one of the other umpires.
He called the guy out, right?
Yeah, he did.
He called that guy out.
He did.
Why is the guy out?
I don't know what the hell that was.
But
first of all, the ball was in the batter's box. You saw the catcher reach across like this. The ball was in the batter, hit him right in his hip, and he didn't even move. I mean, all he did was turn.
He did what you're taught to do. He turned away from the ball.
To protect himself.
Hit him, in the back towards his behind. I mean, what is, up is down, down is up. Come on. But that's what happens when your job is to make rules. Now you get in the room and it's me, Bill, Joe, and Harry, and you say, "Hey guys, let's go. What crazy thing are we going to do now? Next will be, you have to blindfold a batter. Batter's got to be blindfolded for 3 pitches." And
then when that happened in that game, I bet you that umpire was thinking to himself, "Oh, there's that new rule change. I'm going to do it. I'm going to use it. I'm using it right here."
Absolutely. Those guys love being the star of the show. They love, and I'll tell you what, if you're a person who has any, I don't know, to me it's like a cop, Danny Ford. It's like a cop pulling over a woman who's in labor because she's 6 miles an hour over the speed limit and writing her a ticket. Technically, she's speeding. Technically.
Mm-hmm.
But let's face it, the priority is to get the woman to the hospital because she's in labor. This is what umpires are. Umpires, technically the guy, come on. There's nobody in the ballpark that would have given you a hard time if you would have awarded that guy first base. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
But you're going to bring attention to yourself by making this is my big call. I'm sure after the game, he and his umpiring brethren, as they sit in the parking lot in those stupid chairs and talk about the game for like an hour, which they all do in college. I don't know why. All right. Hey, did you see my big out call I made there? I gave him the big one.
Yeah.
Like an idiot.
I don't. Yeah. Or. What I don't understand is why did he call that guy out? Like, I thought if he did that, it was just a strike.
Moving into the pitch.
Yeah, so you're out. They're
you have to rule. If you don't rule hit by pitch, you have to rule that he tried to get hit by the pitch, and then I think you're out.
That's the rule change, or is that? I don't know.
That's the rule change.
Okay.
And they've redefined what moving into the pitch looks. See, this is where you really get into the weeds. There's no stopping this kind of stuff. It just snowballs into craziness, and I think that's what's happening in Major League Baseball too.
So you can't
let's move the mound back 2 feet. Let's have 6 guys on the field instead of 8.
So you can't crowd the plate?
Well, you could crowd the plate, but you had better. I mean, I don't know if I'm a hitter. What I'm thinking now is like, do I have to learn how to? I don't know. I guess I got to get out of the way of the ball. Otherwise, there's a likelihood that I'm going to be called out.
Yes.
Because I got hit by the pitch.
I'm baffled by the whole thing. Like, I watched the video and I was just sitting there going, "What in the hell is going on right now?" It's
unbelievable. And I, look, I'm for the abolishing of the NCAA. I think the NCAA was obsolete 40 years ago. And the NCAA has served to really hurt baseball in every single way it possibly could over the last 30 years. It's done nothing to help grow the game, including but not limited to basically legislating out of existence the fall season, which how in the world coaches, ADs, and athletic directors let them get away with that, I'll never know. But the time has come to abolish the NCAA. It has no power other than the power that teams and schools grant it. Just get rid of it. You don't need it. Make your own deal with the networks. What do you need the NCAA for?
No, that's true. So, Tommy, we've been on for almost an hour. So, to wrap it up, you sent me a text earlier about an incredible player during his day, an advocate for the game for many years. He was one of the legends of the game and one of the legends in New York City for the Mets. You want to talk a little bit about that guy?
Yeah, I've never been a Met fan. My father and my brother were Met fans. So, I remember, when Tom Seaver came to the Mets, and my father loved Tom Seaver. My father was a player, a scout. My father was like a baseball savant. He had done everything, and that generation of people really ushered in the game in the era. The 40s, 50s, and 60s were really the golden era of baseball. And obviously, in '57, the Dodgers were in Brooklyn. My father was from Brooklyn. Would talk about hours about going to Ebbets Field, and so when Seaver signed with the Mets, there was something different about Seaver, and I didn't really understand what it was. But a whole city had its heart torn out in 1957 when the O'Malleys took the Dodgers and went to Los Angeles.
Yep.
Now, my father, all his friends, and anybody from Brooklyn from that generation, they hated the O'Malleys. The O'Malleys were like Fellini and the O'Malleys were all in the same sentence. Those men and those women took that hatred to their honored graves. They really did. I think Seaver, though, meant something a lot more than just being the great, great pitcher that he was. And I remembered it this week for some reason. I said, what Seaver was, who mended the broken hearts of a city. He was the guy who showed them that they could love it again, that their hearts didn't have to be broken forever. And my father and his crew of guys, his baseball guys, spoke about Tom Seaver with a sparkle in their eye. And I think that that they had in their eye when they saw Jackie Robinson and Pee Wee Reese and Duke Snyder and Roy Campanella play. And when my father would talk, I didn't realize it then, but I realized it just this week. I was when my father was the same sparkle in his eye that he had when he was a boy going to watch the Dodgers. And you needed a miracle for that heart to get mended. And the way it happened was in 1969, a Tom Seaver and Gil Hodges, who was one of the greatest Brooklyn Dodgers of all time, had the miracle Mets. And I think that Seaver, he's one of the few athletes I've ever known who meant way more than just what he did on the playing field or on the court. And I'm really thankful to him that I got to see that in my father because of Seaver. And my heart is broken for him and his family, and I'm praying for him.
Well, that's awesome stuff, Tommy. That's great. I really didn't get a chance to see Seaver play much when I was younger, but I saw the highlight reels and I saw everything that he had done for the game, and he seemed like he was. I'm not a Met fan either, but that guy, that type of player, makes a mark on you if you know the history of the game and things that they do for the game.
Yeah, I think I wish a lot of things for young players, and I think one of the things I really wish on them more than anything else is some way to access the history of the game more, because we haven't really done a good job of giving guys the history of the game, and the profiteers don't care about the history of the game. And I think they miss out on it's just it's like anybody else. If you're going to study music, you got to know the history of music. And we were blessed because we didn't have a lot to do, so we we're constantly hearing about the war stories from our parents, people our teachers who would tell us about Mickey Mantle and Frank Robinson and all these guys who were great players who came before us. So it's really a gift I wish we could give players. I would love to be involved in something, even if it's at the university or at the amateur level, which gave the history of the game back to the kids.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would love to be involved in something like that as well, because you're going to lose a lot of great talent and players and men that you won't ever hear of because we didn't pass that along to the young kids now. When I go out on the field and ask these kids, hey, does anybody remember Cal Ripken? And I live in Maryland. And they all go, what? Cal Ripken? I'm like, you don't know Cal Ripken? Okay, here's where we're going to start. All right, he was Baltimore Oriole number 8, ding, ding, ding. You know what I mean? So
you should know who Thomas Jefferson is. You should know who George Washington is. You should know who Benjamin Franklin is. And you should know, if you're a baseball player, who Tom Seaver is and who Babe Ruth is and all those guys. One quick Tom Seaver story, really quick. Great story. He's doing an interview with Ron Darling and Johan Santana. So Darling says to him, what about pitch counts? Oh, he says, Seaver, and so articulate and handsome, really compelling New York guy, from the West Coast, but just perfect for New York.
Sure. And
Seaver looks at him, and he says, oh, yeah, pitch counts. We had them. He said, I used to say to Gil, hey, Gil Hodges, when I get to 135, just look out a little bit because that's when I start to get tired.
You'll never hear that
How
today.
How great is that?
Yeah, you'll never hear that today.
That?
Yeah. When I get to 85 now, take me out of the game.
Right.
I'm walking to and I don't care if it's the 4th inning.
Right.
Take me out.
They're ready with the ambulance.
Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap this up, Tommy. Thank you for coming on. Hey, guys, anybody out there, hey, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the comments, as always. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. It's baseball season, right? Spring training's in full effect. The college season's already underway. High school's about ready to start. Youth leagues are about ready to start. We're in full swing with our practices, Tommy. I hope you guys are doing the same thing, or at least getting ready, gearing up for all the stuff you guys are doing up there. So. And
Al, they got about $1,000 worth of lessons in this show tonight.
$1,000 worth of lessons. That's right. They did.
Absolutely.
They absolutely did.
They gave them a lot of. You know what some huckster would charge them for that information? A lot of money.
Yeah.
And if he knew that information, he'd charge them even more.
That is true. That is true. All right, Tommy. You have a great week.
Right,
I love you, man. I will see you next week.
Too. Okay. Be well.
See
you
ya.
guys.